Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sedona International Film Festival. I'm your host, Carol Kahn. We are coming to you live on Facebook Live. Also, we are coming to you from the Sedona Performing Arts Center. And I'd like to introduce you to our two filmmakers here, Gareth and Kat from the film
Something to Give.
Something to Give, awesome. And we were just talking briefly right before this particular interview, and we have just realized that we're both from North Carolina,
Yes.
so welcome, North Carolina in the house.
Yeah.
Awesome. So welcome. How this is your first time in Sedona?
Yeah, first time.
Yeah.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. What do you think so far?
Beautiful.
Yeah. You have to say it's beautiful. You have to say
It's
something.
amazing.
I
Yeah.
feel it's very majestic.
Yes.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. Just breathtaking.
And it's almost similar. A lot of people associate this with Asheville, and that's where
Yeah.
you're living now.
Yeah.
So a lot of people from Sedona and Asheville, it sort of correlates.
Yeah.
A lot of the similar things.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very conscious. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, awesome. So tell us a little bit about your film.
Yeah. Do you want to share?
So Something to Give is a short documentary that, generally speaking, it follows reconciliation and forgiveness happening in the context of the Rwandan genocide, and it merges together the main character, Hippolyte. He does a performance that in relation to his father, who was killed in the genocide, and he basically does a performance where he explores his own forgiveness process, and so we wove that with interviews that Gareth did in Rwanda with actual victims and perpetrators from 1994, and so yeah, it kind of weaves in all these different stories.
Awesome. Well, we
Yeah.
do have a trailer of the film, so I'd like to
Yeah.
just play that for a second.
Cool.
I've written a letter to my dad. But to understand the letter, you need to meet these people. You will hear about a woman, or a man, or a baby, or a daughter, or a son. It might be yours. It might be you. It goes back 25 years ago in Rwanda.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about that because you interviewed the perpetrators as well as some of the victims of that. In doing this, because your film is about forgiveness, and in talking with them, how was your feelings about talking with the perpetrators, and then did you actually feel any kind of like forgiveness towards them as well as you were doing the interviews?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. And yes, I did. It was beautiful because just recounting the stories and what happened to them brought up the past almost again in that present moment. And so being with the survivors, it was a grief process for me in the moment with them, and then simultaneously with the perpetrators to understand the level of remorse and repentance and the pain and how hard and challenging and how much courage it takes to actually step into that forgiveness process and to reckon with what one has done. And so I did feel the intimacy with the survivors and with the perpetrators and a lot of empathy for the processes they were going through.
Now, when you did this film, and both of you were part of this film, did anything change? Like when you had a thought process of going in and doing this documentary, was there anything that changed in your minds that came out in the film?
Do you?
Anything that changed? I mean, in many ways, I had a general sense of what Gareth wanted to do, but I sort of tried to treat the footage like a blank canvas, like with as little imposing any particular structure on top of it. So in some ways, like the whole process was like continually revealing itself new to me. So if that kind of answers that question.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like from the interview perspective.
Yeah, I would say that one thing that I was focused on was how, you know, at the time in 1994 when the atrocities happened, a lot of the world was not responsive to what happened in Rwanda and showing up for people. And so for me, you know, it was a process of being able to say, well, even though this happened in 1994 and I wasn't able to go help, there's still a lot of ripple effects of what's happening, and conflict resolution at this level of atrocity and the reconciliation is so takes time, you know, and everybody's at a different place and it takes a lot of intention, and the world can still continue to show up. And as, you know, these kinds of conflicts continue to emerge in our world, how can what happened here actually serve in other areas struggling with conflict and turn towards reconciliation? And so I think for me, you know, what impacted me was also just being able to be a part of showing up for that when I feel, you know, that feels important and significant as humans to show up for each other. So I feel the deepening of that process and how meaningful it was for me, you know, definitely shifted throughout the process.
Now, I do need to ask you this question too, because it just keeps coming up in my mind. You know, Rwanda is a long way from home. So, and being a female, were you ever like afraid in any situation in doing this particular documentary?
I appreciate that question. No, I had an incredible local Rwandan team that worked with, and I trusted everything that they were, you know, offering, and they were gracious, receptive, and very much aligned in purpose with what we wanted to move towards and connected to the local community. So I felt held and taken care of, and overall in Rwanda, I felt safe at the time. And it, you know, since it's been so long, they've done a lot in their community. So it was mostly just a really nourishing experience.
Awesome. And tell us, when is the film being shown?
It'll be shown tonight, again at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's so nice to have you both here with us, and thank you for bringing your film to our attention and to the attention of the public and all of that. It was very well done. So thank you so much for
Thanks
that.
for having us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much, and for being willing to share this message. It's really exciting to be here.
Yes, and I'm so glad you're here from North Carolina.
I love that. It's amazing.
And we will be back with more from the Sedona International Film Festival after this.
Thank you.